I loved my father with all my heart, but when he abandoned me for his new wife and treated her children better than me, I decided to him out of my forever. I'm writing this because I need to get it out. I need someone to understand what it feels like when the person worshipped most in the world decides you're not worth their time anymore. My dad was my hero. I mean that in the most literal way possible. When I was 7, he taught me to ride a bike in our driveway, ran behind me for what felt like hours, his hand steady on my back, promising he wouldn't let go. When I finally pedaled away on my own, wobbling but free, I turned around expecting to see him right there. He was 20 feet back, grinning like he'd just watched me cancer. "Did it all by buddy," he called out. "I let go 3 houses ago." That's who my dad was. The guy who believed in me before I believed in. Every Saturday was our day. Pancakes shaped like Mickey Mouse heads, her building elaborate Lego cities on the living room floor while Mom rolled her eyes at the mess. He'd get down on his knees, a grown man in his work clothes, and we'd create entire worlds together. "What should we build today, architect?" he'd ask, and I'd feel 10 feet tall. When I made the middle school baseball team, he never missed a game, not one. Even when I spent most of the season on the bench, he'd cheer louder than anyone when coach finally put me in during the 9th inning of games we were already losing by 10 runs. "That's my boy," he'd shout from the stands, and I'd pretend to be embarrassed but secretly loved every second of it. He taught me to drive in that same driveway where I learned to ride my bike. Patient as a saint while I the car forward and backward, grinding the gears of his precious Camaro. Most dads would have lost their minds. He just laughed and said, "Everyone learns at their own pace, son." When Mom got sick during my sophomore year of high school, Dad held our family together with pure force of will. He worked double shifts at the plant, came home to make dinner, helped me with homework, and still managed to sit by Mom's bedside every night reading her favorite mystery novels out loud. I watched him sacrifice everything for us. Sleep, his hobbies, time with his friends, everything, Mom the cancer, and I thought we were invincible. Hurt, the 3 of us against the world, stronger for what we'd survived together. College was hard because it meant leaving him. He drove me to state in that same Camaro, now with 200,000 miles on it, but still running strong because he maintained it like his depended on it. We unloaded my stuff in silence, both of us knowing this was the end of an era. "Call me every Sunday," he said when it was time to go. "I want to hear about everything. Classes, friends, girls, all of it." And I did call. Every Sunday at 2 p.m. sharp. We'd talk for an hour minimum, sometimes 2. He'd update me on Mom, work, the neighbors. I'd tell him about my roommate's weird habits and how organic chemistry was me. Or tougher than think, he'd say when I complained about something being too hard. "Remember the bike, figured it out then, I'll figure it out now." Even when I graduated and got my first apartment 3 hours away, nothing changed. Sunday calls, monthly visits home, Christmas and Thanksgiving and Father's Day treated like national holidays in our family. Then Mom died suddenly my second year out of college. Hard at 51, no warning, no time to prepare. I moved back home for 2 months to help Dad figure out without her. We were both wrecked, but we had each other. We'd sit in the living room where we used to build those Lego cities, not saying much, just existing in the same space. "We'll get through this," he told me one night after a particularly bad day. "We always do." I believed him. I always believed him. That was 3 years ago. Before Jessica entered the picture and everything I thought I knew about my father crumbled into dust. The first time he mentioned her name, it was casual. "There's this woman at work, Jessica. She's been helping me figure out the new computer system." Innocent enough, I was actually happy he was talking to people again, making connections. After Mom died, he'd become a hermit. But then Jessica started showing in every conversation. Jessica thought this funny story was hilarious. Jessica recommended this restaurant. Jessica had these interesting opinions about everything under the sun. 6 months later, he told me they were dating. "It's not serious," he said during our Sunday call. "We just enjoy each other's company. Don't worry, son. Nobody could ever replace Mother." I wanted to be supportive. The man had grieved alone for 2 years. He deserved companionship, maybe even happiness again. But something felt off. The way he talked about Jessica was different from how he'd ever talked about Mom. There was an excitement there, like a teenager with his first crush. At 55 years old, when I finally met Jessica, I understood why. She was 38, blonde, energetic in that exhausting way some people are, always moving, always talking. She had 2 kids from her previous marriage, Emma, who was 12, and Ryan, who was 10. "Dad talks about constantly," she said the first time we met, gripping my hand like we were old friends. "He's so proud of. I feel like I know already." Dad stood behind her, beaming like she'd just recited poetry. I hadn't seen him smile that wide since before Mom got sick. Over dinner, I watched Jessica command the conversation. She was charming, I'll give her that. Funny. The kids were polite, well-behaved. Emma helped clear dishes without being asked. Ryan told Dad about his soccer team with the kind of enthusiasm I remembered having at that age. "They're great kids." Dad told me later that night after Jessica had gone home. "Real great kids." Something cold settled in my stomach, but I pushed it away. I was being paranoid, protective. This was good for him. That was the last time I'd feel good about Jessica for a very long time. The changes started small. Our Sunday calls got shorter. He'd conversations off because Jessica and the kids were coming over, or they had plans, or he'd promised to help Ryan with some project. "Rain check, buddy," became his favorite phrase. Then he started missing visits. I'd drive the 3 hours home only to find a note on the door. "Had to take Emma to a tournament. Jessica's ex canceled at the last minute. Sorry, son." Next time became the time after that, which became the time after that. When I finally cornered him about it, he got defensive. "I'm trying to balance everything here," he said. "Jessica needs support with the kids. Their father's not exactly reliable. What about me? I asked, hating how young I sounded. I need support too. I miss Mom just as much as do. His face softened for a moment, and I thought I'd gotten through to him. "Are grown now," he said finally. "Have own. Emma and Ryan, they need guidance, they need a father figure. A father figure. Like he wasn't already a father. Like I wasn't already his son. That should have been my first real warning. But I was still operating under the assumption that this was temporary. A phase. Eventually he'd remember who he was before Jessica, who we were together. I was wrong about everything. The wedding invitation arrived on a Tuesday. I stared at the cream-colored cardstock in my hands, reading the names over and over like they might change if I blinked hard enough. Michael Davidson and Jessica Chen request the pleasure of company. 6 months. They'd been dating for 18 months total, and he'd proposed after 6 months of me barely seeing him. I called immediately. "Dad, what the language, son?" His voice was stiff formal, like he was talking to a stranger. "We're getting married. When we're planning to tell me. Before or after the ceremony?" I wanted to tell in person, but always so busy with work. I'm busy. The laugh that came out of me sounded unhinged. "I've cancelled our last 4 visits. Haven't returned my calls in 3 weeks. Silence on the other end. Then, Jessica thinks it would be good for the kids to have stability. A real family unit. A real family unit." The words hit like a physical. What were we, Dad? What was Mom? Were we just practice? That's not what I meant. But it was exactly what he meant, and we both knew it. The wedding was small. Family only, according to the invitation. I showed in the same black suit I'd worn to Mom's funeral, which felt appropriate because something was definitely dying that day. Jessica looked beautiful, radiant. She'd pulled off the whole blushing bride thing perfectly, even though she was pushing 40 with 2 kids and a divorce behind her. Dad looked happy. Really, genuinely happy in a way I hadn't seen since before Mom got sick. That should have made me feel good. It made me feel sick instead. During the ceremony I watched Emma and Ryan stand beside Jessica as she exchanged vows with my father. They looked like the perfect family. 2 parents, 2 kids, everyone matching and coordinated. Then there was me, sitting in the 3rd row wondering where I fit in this new picture. The answer became clear pretty quickly. I didn't. At the reception I barely saw Dad. He was too busy playing host, making sure Jessica's relatives were comfortable, taking pictures with his new stepchildren. When I tried to approach him for a private conversation, Jessica would materialize out of nowhere. "Isn't this wonderful?" she'd gush, linking her arm through his. "The kids are so excited to have a real dad again." A real dad, again. I started avoiding family events after that, not out of spite but out of self-preservation. Every gathering was the same dad focused entirely on Emma and Ryan while I sat on the sidelines like a distant relative nobody really knew. Christmas was the worst. I showed at 10 a.m. like we'd done every year since I was born. The house was already chaos. Emma and Ryan had apparently opened presents at dawn, wrapping paper scattered everywhere, new toys and gadgets covering every surface. "Sorry we started without," Dad said, not sounding sorry at all. The kids couldn't wait any longer. We'd had a tradition my entire. Nobody opened anything until everyone was awake and had coffee. We'd go around in a circle, taking turns, making each present last. It was never about the gifts, it was about being together, sharing the moment. Now I was watching Emma show off her new laptop, which cost more than I made in a month. Ryan was assembling some complicated robot toy that Dad was helping him with, both of them on the floor, heads bent together in concentration. My present was sitting under the tree and opened. A gift card to some restaurant chain I later discovered. The kind of thing buy for mailmen. But Dad had spent hours researching that robot toy for Ryan. I knew because I'd helped him research similar toys for me when I was that age. I recognized his methodical approach, the way he'd compare features and read reviews and ask other parents for advice. He'd put real thought into Ryan's happiness. I got $25 to Olive Garden. "How's work?" Jessica asked me during dinner, the kind of polite small talk make with someone barely know. I told her about the promotion I'd been chasing, the project I was excited about. She nodded at appropriate intervals, but I could tell she wasn't really listening. Her attention kept drifting to Emma and Ryan, correcting their table manners, asking about school projects. Dad used to my every word when I talked about work. He'd ask follow questions, remember details months later, bring things I'd mentioned in conversations with other people because he was proud of what I was accomplishing. Now he was too busy Ryan's meat to notice I was talking. After dinner, Emma asked Dad to help her with some school project about family trees. They spread out at the dining room table with poster board and markers, mapping out branches and connections. I watched from the doorway as Dad helped her write out names and dates. When they got to his section he wrote Michael Davidson in the center, then drew lines to Jessica, and Emma and Ryan. "What about other son?" Emma asked innocently. Dad paused, marker hovering over the paper. "He's not really part of our immediate family," he said quietly. "He's grown now, has his own. I left without saying goodbye. The Sunday calls stopped completely after that. I'd call him and get voicemail. He'd text back hours later, boozy with the kids. Talk soon. Soon never came. I tried showing unannounced once. Drove the 3 hours on a Saturday morning, thinking maybe if I was just there we could talk like we used to." Jessica answered the door in yoga pants and a tank top, hair in a messy bun. Behind her, I could hear the sounds of a busy household, cartoons on TV, kids arguing about something, the dishwasher running. "Oh," she said, clearly not expecting me. "Michael's at Ryan's soccer game. They won't be back for hours." "What about Emma? Is she here?" "She's at a sleepover." Jessica shifted uncomfortably. "Should really call before coming over. We have pretty busy schedules these days." Busy schedules. For a man who used to clear his entire weekend if I mentioned I might drive home. I sat in my car outside that soccer field for 20 minutes, watching Dad cheer for Ryan the same way he used to cheer for me. Watching him high-five other parents belong to their community in a way that looked so natural. He never saw me sitting there. The breaking point came on my birthday. 28 years old, and every single year before this, Dad had called me at exactly 6:47 a.m. That was the time I was born, and he said it was tradition to acknowledge the exact moment I came into the world. Came and went. No call. I waited until noon telling he was busy, he'd remember soon. The phone stayed silent. Finally, at 3 p.m. I called him. "Hey son." He sounded distracted, harried. "It's my birthday, Dad, long pies. Oh God, I'm sorry. It's been crazy here. Ryan had a game this morning, and Emma had a friend over, and Jessica's planning this dinner party for next weekend." He was making excuses. For the first time in my father was making excuses for forgetting me. "I understand," I said, even though I didn't. "Let me make it to. How about we grab dinner next week? Just the two of us like old times." I knew he wouldn't follow through, but I said yes anyway, because hope is a stubborn thing. He canceled 2 days later. Via text. "Ryan's sick. Rain check." There it was again. Rain check, the phrase that had become the soundtrack of our relationship. That night I looked through old photo albums. Pictures of us building those Lego cities. Pictures of him teaching me to drive. Pictures of him in the stands at my baseball games, cheering like I was heading to the World Series instead of striking out in a middle school game that didn't matter to anyone. In every single photo, he was looking at me like I was the most important thing in his world. When did that change? When did Emma and Ryan become more important than the son he'd raised from birth? When did Jessica's happiness matter more than mine? The worst part was that I could see why he preferred them. Emma and Ryan were young, moldable, grateful for his attention in a way I hadn't been since childhood. They needed him to teach them things, help them with homework, drive them to activities. I was grown, like he kept saying. I had my own apartment, my own job, my own. I didn't need him to my meet or help me with school projects. But I needed him to remember my birthday. I needed him to want to spend time with me. I needed him to act like I mattered, even if I didn't need him the same way a 10-year-old needs a father figure. Instead, I got rain checks and gift cards and the slow, painful realization that I'd been replaced by newer, more exciting models. The family he'd built with Mom, the son he'd raised and loved and been proud of, all of that was just his practice round. Emma and Ryan were the real thing. The family that counted. And I was just the leftover from his previous, taking space in a story that didn't have room for me anymore. The call came on a Thursday morning while I was getting ready for work. "Son, I need to ask something." Dad's voice was different, nervous, like he was about to ask me to loan him money or help him move furniture. "What's?" "Jessica and I are looking at houses. We found this great place, 4 bedrooms, big backyard for the kids, but it's expensive, and we need to freeze some capital." My stomach dropped. I knew where this was going. "I'm thinking about selling the house, Mom's house, our house. The house where he'd taught me to ride a bike in the driveway, where we'd built Lego cities in the living room, where he'd read mystery novels to Mom during her treatments, where I'd learned to drive in that same driveway 15 years later. Dad can't. It's just a house, son. Jessica thinks we should start fresh somewhere new, make new memories, just a house. 30 years of our together, and it was just a house. What about Mom's garden? What about all our stuff? The photo albums, we'll keep the important things." But Jessica's right. We can't live in the past forever. Jessica's right. When had Jessica become the authority on our family history? I was hoping come by this weekend and take anything I want before we start packing. Take anything I want. Like I was shopping at a garage sale instead of trying to salvage pieces of my childhood. I drove home that Saturday morning with an empty stomach and a racing heart. The house looked the same from the outside, but Jessica's SUV in the driveway felt like strangers had moved into sacred space. Inside was worse. Half the furniture was gone already. Mom's antique dining set, replaced by some modern glass thing that looked like it belonged in a showroom. The family photos that used to line the hallway had been taken down, replaced by professional portraits of Jessica's family. Dad, Jessica, Emma, and Ryan. All matching outfits and genuine smiles. The perfect family unit. There was one photo of me, tucked away on a side table like an afterthought. My high school graduation picture, the same one that used to have a place of honor on the mantle next to Mom's college graduation photo. Mom's photo was nowhere to be seen. "Where's Mom's picture?" I asked Dad when I found him in the kitchen packing dishes into boxes. Jessica thought it might be weird having pictures of my ex-wife around. Ex-wife. Like Mom was some failed relationship instead of the woman who'd given him 30 years of marriage and died too young. She wasn't ex-wife, Dad. She was wife, my mother. This was her home. I know that. But Jessica's my wife now, and this needs to feel like her home too. Jessica appeared in the doorway like she'd been summoned. "Oh, good, here." I wasn't sure I'd make it. She wasn't sure I'd make it to sort through the remnants of my own childhood. "I put some boxes in old room," she continued. "Just pack whatever want. We're donating the rest. 30 years of family history headed to Goodwill because it didn't fit Jessica's aesthetic. My old room was a gut punch. The baseball trophies Dad had displayed so proudly were already in a box marked, "Donut." The model planes we'd built together boxed, the bookshelf where he used to read me bedtime stories empty. Emma's artwork was already on the walls, drawings of her new family. Stick figures labeled Mom, Mike, Men, Ryan, 4 people. I wasn't even a stick figure in their story. I packed what I could fit in my car. Photo albums, some of Mom's jewelry, a few books that had been special to us. It felt like trying to fit an ocean into a teacup. In the basement, I found the box of Legos. Our old Lego cities, carefully preserved in plastic containers. Dad had saved every single piece, every tiny creation we built together during those Saturday afternoons. Can leave those, Jessica said from behind me. Ryan's getting into Legos now. Mike thought he might enjoy building with them. Building with them. Our Legos, our tradition. Our memories handed over to a 10-year-old who didn't know what they meant. These are mine, I said, lifting the box. Actually, they belong to the house. Mike bought them for family time, so they should stay with the family. The family. Again, I carried the box upstairs past Dad, who looked away when he saw what I was taking. Those Legos have a lot of memories, he said quietly. Yeah, they do. That's why I'm keeping them. Ryan would really enjoy them. He's at that perfect age, just like I was. When I was his son, and he was my father, and Jessica didn't exist to decide what belonged to whom. Let him build his own memories, I said. The last straw came at dinner. Jessica had insisted I stay, said we should have one final family meal in the house before it sold. It felt more like a wake than a celebration, but I agreed because some part of me still hoped for a moment alone with Dad, a chance to say the things that needed saying. But we weren't alone. We were never alone anymore. Ryan was talking about his soccer team, how they might make it to regionals. Dad was on every word, asking questions about positions and strategies and other teams they'd have to. It was the exact same conversation we'd had about my baseball team 20 years ago. The same enthusiasm, the same interest, the same pride in athletic achievements that didn't matter to anyone outside this room. Except now it was happening with someone else's kid. Tell him about the double-header, Jessica encouraged, beaming at Ryan like he just announced he was curing cancer. Ryan launched into a story about scoring the winning goal in overtime. Dad listened like it was the most fascinating thing he'd ever heard. I remembered scoring the winning run in our middle school championship game. Dad had been so excited he'd called everyone he knew. Spent the whole drive home making me relive every detail. That's my boy, he kept saying. That's my boy. Now he was saying the same thing about Ryan. That's my boy. I'm so proud of son. I stood so fast my chair scraped against the floor. Have to go? Already? Dad looked genuinely disappointed. We haven't had dessert yet. Jessica made her famous chocolate cake. Jessica's famous chocolate cake. In the kitchen where Mom used to make my birthday cakes from scratch, measuring ingredients while I stood on a chair beside her, both of us covered in flour by the end. I have work tomorrow. It's Saturday night, Emma pointed out. Smart kid. Too smart. I have a lot of work. I headed for the door, Dad following behind me. Son, wait. I turned around in the driveway where he'd taught me to ride that bike, where I'd learned to drive, where I'd said goodbye before college. What happened to us, Dad? He looked genuinely confused. What do you mean? Know what I mean. When did I stop being son? When did Emma and Ryan become more important than me? That's not, or still my son. I'll always be my son. When's my birthday? Silence. What's my middle name? What do I do for work? What's my girlfriend's name? More silence. Don't know do. But I know Emma's favorite color and Ryan's batting average and what time Jessica likes her coffee. They live with me. I see them every day. It's different. It's different because chose them over me. Replaced Mom with Jessica, and replaced me with her kids, and are now selling our house so can start over with real family. Being dramatic. 30 years of father-son relationship, and my pain at losing him was dramatic. Remember when Mom was sick, said we'd get through it together. We always do, said. Just the two of us against the world. His face softened slightly. But we didn't get through it together, did we? Got through it by finding a replacement family. A wife who wasn't sick, kids who still needed. That didn't remind of what lost. That's not fair. Forgot my birthday, Dad. My birthday. For the first time in 28 years. I said I was sorry about that. Sorry doesn't fix it. Sorry doesn't fix any of this. I got in my car, hands shaking as I tried to fit the key in the ignition. Dad knocked on the window. Don't leave like this. Let's talk about it. I rolled down the window one last time. There's nothing left to talk about. Made choice. Jessica and her kids are family now. I'm just some guy used to know. Or my son? Dad. Ryan's son now. I'm just a reminder of the don't want anymore. I drove away and never looked back. That was 2 years ago. I've built a good for. Got the promotion I was chasing. Found someone who loves me. Who thinks I'm worth remembering and celebrating and prioritizing. We're talking about marriage, maybe kids of our own someday. I don't call Dad anymore. Don't visit. Don't send Christmas cards or birthday wishes. When people ask about my family, I tell them my parents are dead. It's easier than explaining how my father chose his stepchildren over his own son. Sometimes I wonder if he misses me. If he ever thinks about those Saturday mornings building Lego cities, or teaching me to ride a bike, or cheering at my baseball games like I was the most important thing in his world. But then I remember how easily he forgot my birthday, how quickly he erased Mom from their new house, how naturally he called Ryan son, while treating me like a stranger. I know the truthy. I was never as important to him as I thought I was. When something better came along, something that made him feel young and needed and vital again, I became expendable. The man who taught me that love was unconditional showed me that everything has conditions, even a father's love for his child. And some betrayals so deep they sever the bonds that were supposed to last forever.